Alright, hello everybody, Skyrim here, back again with another Diablo Immortal video. My, there is so much to cover, so much to go over here. You may have seen it elsewhere already. I will list the patch notes in the pinned comment down below, of course, of this one. I am probably going to approach this in bite-sized pieces as best I can anyway, because if I try to do this one, it's gonna go on forever, and honestly, it's a good thing that there is this much coming in, and a lot of this in the patch notes was stuff that we've already discussed before, but there are certain things that I'm gonna try to just kind of pick apart as I go here, and hang in there with me on this one, because it's definitely gonna be kind of a jumping all over the place in comparison, because I have both the global and Chinese notes as per usual, and there are a few discrepancies here and there, so I'm going to try to bring those up along the way. But let's get into it really quickly here. We're going to start with the set pieces. There's a new set piece on the way. Alright, there's a new set item on the way, the Grip of Char. And Contempt's Wake, Fiery Pursuit, they all have names to each of the pieces. But it is a fire set for the most part. It sounds like a firestorm set. Wildfire more specifically, however, it does say firestorm in all of these pieces. The 2-piece bonus. Your firestorm now becomes a wildfire, increasing its damage bonus from 50 to 85%. I don't know why there's a gap. It says bonus from 50 to 85%. So maybe Firestorm was already a base of 50% increase. Now it's going to 85. Here is the first of the discrepancies right away. Go ahead and bring up the Chinese notes on the right-hand side here. Now they say the 2-piece set, the damage increase of the effect of the wind helps fire, as you can see Google Translate, is increased from 50 to 70%. So we'll take this, as it may come, and for what it is. So the global note says 50 to 85%. The Chinese note says 50 to 70%. At this point, who knows which is which? Now, we don't have to necessarily worry about this right away. I'm already looking at this, chomping at the bit, like, oh, this kind of sounds like in my preferred wheelhouse from the old reliable build, of which I have been using a different one in Battlegrounds more recently, only out of boredom and out of the sad state that Battlegrounds has become with nothing but barbs swinging meat hammers. Take that however you like in that statement alone, but I mean it is exactly that. That's all they do, is just beat on each other the entire time in the matchups, and if you have barbs, fine, and whoever has the most barbs and who has the most wailed out barbs is pretty much the determining factor of the race now in Battlegrounds. And by race, I mean the slow inching crawl of walking idols down the lane still, with constant stacking of undyings and shields and immunities. You get the idea. We've all been there. We've all continued to be there, and it's honestly, I think, the worst state that it's ever been. However, there are balance changes along the way upcoming here that might shift things a little bit yet again, and I'm actually glad that some of these were put into place now instead of waiting till later. But whether I put that in this video, I don't know. I've already gone off into a tangent, as I often do. I am sorry. But be that as it may, we'll discuss that too when we get to it. Whether it be in this video or not, that remains to be seen. All right, moving on to the next thing here. Let's keep continuing on here. Back to the set piece. Back to the set piece discussion. Now, what I mean by I was getting excited about this one and chomping at the bit is I was like, oh man, are we going to have to burn our Inferno 3 wisps to craft these if we really want the set piece now? Fortunately not. And I say fortunately not in this regard because we haven't been able to do a pre-farm early as we normally do. Currently in game, I am at 570 Paragon. Now, as for the past couple difficulties, I've already jumped into the next difficulty above to start pre-farming the wisps up. ahead of time. And that's the idea, because we can never have enough wisps to craft 3-socketed greens. 3-socket greens. That is still not a thing. Okay, so Blizzies, out of all I've seen, there's a whole bunch of quality of life updates in this patch upcoming that are absolutely great. And it seems you're finally listening to the vast majority of what we've said. However, this one here is still a pain point. And it's all it takes is this one, and this is a big one. The green items still need to have guaranteed 3 slots. 3 normal gem slots, period, going forward. That no more 2 slots. This is garbage that we still don't have it to where they are not guaranteed 3 slots. Anyway, but as I was saying, 570. Normally we would already be in pre-farming up the difficulty above to start collecting the wisps for the crafting, like I had said. However, this new set piece will not be available in the drop pool until Inferno 4, which we will all be starting to farm this upcoming weekend when the patch goes live. I guarantee it. We will all start pre-farming the Inferno 4 dungeons for, obviously, the Inferno 4 wisps. And, of course, the green upgrades if we can get them. Most times we just have to craft them anyway to get the ones we want with the 3 slots, like I said. So yeah, don't worry about burning your Inferno 3 wisp to craft this new set, because you won't even be able to. It's not accessible until Inferno 4. So that kind of takes a little bit of the edge off, but at the same time, the anticipation of just getting the set and using it and trying it out is going to be there regardless. All right, so back to the set and what it does again. If you've hung on with me for the tangent that I've already gone on. 4-piece bonus. The 4-piece bonus. Wildfire also conjures a wildfire tornado that drags nearby enemies to its center, dealing so it's pretty much like Thistle Bloom in a sense. So I don't know how that's going to unfold. We'll have to wait and see. Pretty crazy. Putting wizard abilities again into a set piece of some kind, or of course, as they've done in the past, they put wizard abilities in the legendary gems. This turnaround, the upcoming 5-star gem that we're getting is going to be the Tempest ability. Oh, yeah. But anyway, all right, I'm going off on the tangent again. Stop. Stop. 6-piece bonus. Wildfire also grants you Fanning the Flames. Actually, let's go back to the 4-piece. The 4-piece one. Pulling enemies to the center cannot occur more often than once every 6 seconds. All right, now if we go to the Chinese notes, it says tornado will be generated at target location, attracting surrounding enemies and causing damage. Can be triggered up to once every 9 seconds. So I don't know who's, usually I would say go with the Chinese notes, because that's where NetEase is and that's where they do all the developing. So it's hard to say. I think the 9 seconds sounds about right when it comes in regards to set pieces and how they usually function. The 6-second one sounds a little too short for what it's intending to do here, for especially only a 4-piece. So anyway, now the 6-piece bonus Wildfire grants you Fanning the Flames for 12 seconds. This 12-second duration, causing your non-burn attacks to deal wind damage, allowing them to trigger the Wildfire. Now, Fanning the Flames also reduces the Wildfire tornado's cooldown above by 3 seconds. So maybe that's where they screwed up in their translation, and it is 9 seconds, but they put 6 seconds in there because that's what you would get if you would have the 6-piece bonus combined when that effect goes off for the 12-second duration. So then it would take it from 9 to 6 seconds. That might be where they messed up. I feel that's where they messed up in the global notes. So that would make more sense. Because as we look over in the Chinese notes side, we see the same time the cooldown of the generated tornado is reduced by 3 seconds. The storm surge lasts up to 12 seconds. Yeah. And has a cooldown of 40 seconds. Yeah, they got the 40 seconds. So the 40 seconds still remains as the same number between both sides. So That's probably where the 6 seconds got messed up in the 4-piece bonus on the global patch notes. Okay. Just hash that out, hopefully myself in the process here. Because I'm very interested in this one and for what it's going to do and how it's going to act, etc., etc. We'll be testing that out as soon as I can get my hands on it. But, of course, none of us can wear it until we reach 600 Paragon. None of us can wear it until we get 600 Paragon. So, I mean, we're only 30 levels out. At least I am right now. Some of you might be even closer or less than that even. But you get the idea. Okay. Paragon. Paragon specialization. The new one, the Slayer. This one is kind of all over the place. At first glance, I started to read this one, the first half of it here. And you'll see what I mean. I feel like it definitely favors Demon Hunter. But then the second half of this list starts to go off into anybody that applies dots and has certain dot builds and the like, especially necromancers and some wizard builds, but mostly, actually probably more necromancer than anything else. But here we go. Slayer proficiency, primary attack and ultimate damage is increased by 7%. Vigor, primary attacks against the same enemy deal increased damage up to a maximum of 10%. So kind of a version of Fervent Fang. Tempo, damaging enemies with primary attack increases your primary attack speed by 1% for 3 seconds, stacking up to a maximum of 10% increased attack speed. This is basically like Thanos Snap for Demon Hunters. You know, it's over in a blink of an eye. That's what I'm getting out of this so far. Let me know what you think. Let's see. Up the tempo. Tempo's primary attack speed bonus is increased from 2 to 4%, stacking up to a maximum of 20% for primary attack speed bonus. That's nuts. I don't think, and I stated this in the Discord already, I feel like the devs aren't actually factoring in what the servers can honestly handle anymore. And as beaten down as the servers have become and grinded almost to dust, they're going to have a lot more trouble, I feel, and we might be getting probably some return of more lag again in this, because the servers are going to try to keep up with this insane amount of speed. And I don't think it's going to handle it very well. It doesn't already as it stands, so I think this is kind of going to throw another monkey wrench into everything. But I don't know. I'm not, not their tech engineers out there, but that's kind of what I'm getting the impression of. Let's see. Collateral damage. The damage of secondary effects triggered from a primary attack. The damage of secondary effects triggered from a primary attack are increased by 10%. That one's a little interesting and kind of a little gray area. But anyway, we're just going to keep reading down the rest of these. Deterioration, continual damage. Here we go. Now we're into dots. Now we're into dots and damage over time, continual damage. Continual damage from your harmful effects is increased by 10%. Cripple, your continual damage, and then some, the potency out there already from the vast majority of whales is already into insane levels. I've been in legendary matches now with some people that are running 11k potency. Okay, so this is beyond ridiculous at this point. And now if they go down with this particular Paragon tree, that's going to be even more nasty. But then again, of course, as we all know, when it comes to battlegrounds, Brawler and Gladiator are still the ones that are most preferred. So you still have to take that into consideration. But, it might have some advantages. These might have some advantages. They might be too good to pass up. Your continual damage, harmful effects are also reduce the attack speed of afflicted enemies by 10%. So you're slowing them down. Their attack speed down, which is honestly a good thing. I think that needs to be done in general anyway. But impair. Cripple's attack speed reduction is increased from 10 to 15%. So that's a boost to the previous node in the Paragon tree. So these are just complementing each other, of course, and this is probably going to be one of these trees is probably going to be the primary, another part of the tree sectioned off, because there's 3 sections in all of these usually. Wait, no, 3, 4, 3, yeah. So one section is probably going to be the primary attack section, the other one's going to be the dots and continual damage here, and then the bottom is, we'll get to that here, we're almost there. Let's see, increasing I lost my place. Enemies suffering from 3 of your continuous damage effects explode, dealing 32.5. Why 32 and a half? Why the 0.5? Just round it off. 32.5% base damage to all nearby enemies. Cannot occur more often than once every 10 seconds. So, you know, oh boy, the 10-second window there, but still, nonetheless, yeah. Contagion. When your continual damage, harmful effects expire, they have a 30% chance, which is fairly high in all things considered, to spread up to 3 nearby enemies within 10 yards. But the damage they deal, is reduced by... Okay, so the damage of your harmful effects is reduced by 66%. So, I mean, you're still spreading the dots, but they're reduced by 66%. Okay. Amplified shields. Now, here we go. This one is probably going to be the 3rd part of the tree that you can choose from. Amplified shields. Increase the effectiveness of your shields and the shields you grant to allies by 10%. Oh, man. More shield stacking. Kind of not what we needed. Convergence. Gaining a shield reduces the cooldown of all your non-damaging skills by half a second. Cannot occur more often than once every 10 seconds, however. So at least there's a little bit of a pacing out. Unwavering. Gaining a shield also makes you immune to the next 2 knockback effects. Cannot occur more often than once every 10 seconds. Safeguard. When your shields expire, you take 60% reduced damage for 2 seconds. Cannot occur more often than once every 30 seconds. So these have a bit more of a drawback, which is good because we already have too much shield stacking as it is now already. There are some changes coming to that, which is a good thing, I have to say, but that's going to be for another time. I've already gone on long enough on this one, longer than I planned, so here we go. Last one here. Hope. Can gain a shield every 30 seconds that absorbs damage equal to 15% of your maximum life for 6 seconds. Gain a shield every 30 seconds. So it's going to be on the rotation if you're running this tree. And absorbs damage 50% of max life for 6 seconds. So there you go. This is as far as I'm going to go in this particular video. Let me know what you think in the comments down below about what we've discussed here. I've talked about the set pieces again. We're not getting those until Inferno 4. We won't be able to use those, but let me know what you think of that and how that's going to be. There was, again, some discrepancy in the percentage changes there, obviously, between the 2 notes, global and the Chinese notes, but what have you. The Paragon tree, I think, was pretty much as it stands, so that's why I read it just straight off the global notes. Oh, boy. I do want to get into some other stuff here. Oh, the legendary skills. One more thing, since we're still talking about Paragon. Legendary skills. These are pretty crazy. These are extremely crazy, actually. Death's Release. This is the 80-point, dump into one of the legendary Paragon skills. Now, if we're getting a new Paragon tree, might not have 80 points laying around anymore to dump into just one because we're going to reallocate for the stats. But no matter, these are pretty tempting. Death's Release. When your continual damage harmful effects expire, they explode, dealing 30% of their total damage to all nearby enemies. So when your continual damage harmful effects expire, that's nuts. They'll explode, dealing 30%. Cannot occur more often than once every 10 seconds. Alright? 10 seconds seems like a short period of time, but it also can feel like a long period of time depending on what you want to do with it. Shock Barrier. Gaining an absorb shield causes you to unleash a burst of energy, dealing damage to all nearby enemies equal to 30 of that shield's absorb value. up to a maximum of 40% of your base damage, which is nuts for shield stackers. Cannot occur more often than once every 10 seconds. Again, this one might be problematic. This one might be problematic, especially with Tempests, Satyrs, and some Demon Hunters, depending on their builds. This one feels like it can be pretty nasty. Because the whole time you'll do a dash to get a shield. This will proc and you'll start doing burst energy damage. Yeah. And of course, if you're, depending on what your resonance is, and because it's 40% of your base damage. Now granted, that may or may not be strifed in Battlegrounds because it's percentage and damage number. So yeah, it might be strifed. Hopefully it is, honestly, because that's going to be pretty sick. And I don't know the radius. I don't know what the radius is going to be on that either, of the effect. So, oh boy, overloaded. You become periodically overloaded, causing your next 5 primary attacks within 3 seconds to have a 60% increased primary attack speed for 3 seconds. Your next 5 primary attacks, that is. So, Demon Hunter, again, just... And then, yeah, you won't even see it. It'll happen so fast, the game probably won't even be able to render it for you to see it. Overloaded cannot occur more often than once every 20 seconds from the previous effect. Well, from when the previous effect ended. Okay, so that's got a 20-second cooldown in between each burst. My. Yeah, pretty crazy stuff. Very interesting to see. I'm gonna wrap this up already. I don't want to re-record this. I'm just gonna let this go as it is. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. We're gonna put a bow on this one for now. This is covering set items again, and the new set item, and the new Paragon tree, and everything that entails, along with some side tangents, of course, that I just do, unfortunately. But nonetheless, let me know what you think in the comments down below. How it's going to affect you, what interests you the most, whatever class that you are playing, and what do you see the benefit that would help your class out the most, and obviously the reasons why. So anyway, until next time, everybody, stay safe out there in the real world of fire. Stay tuned for more. I'm going to continue on more of this, but for right now, I just want to get this one up and into the internet ether and get things rolling. So, and we got a couple days until the patch goes live anyway, so I'm just going to roll these out every so often here. And yeah, continue on the discussion. So anyway, until next time, see ya.